I feel like for a while as well, I almost became like a semi-personality as well as a photographer, and then I feel like brands will sort of come to me because they want to attach the name to it. It doesn't work like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But sometimes I want people to just come to me for my work and not for my name. Like, I don't even.
Yeah.
I'm not even all that.
So we just want to top up with Vicky. We say, Vicky, like, how you been? How you dealing with the quarantine lockdown and that?
I've been good. Obviously, like photography wise, there's been no work. So I think, but other than the no work side of things, I've been chilling. Like, I've been having a great time. Like, I bought a bike. We're going on bike rides. I've been reading. Like, I started like an online course as well. Like MoMA do some free courses online on like contemporary art and photography and stuff. And I started a photography one. Just because it's something to do, like, and I went down like a rabbit hole of just like researching all these online courses and all these things that I'm like, I want to know everything. But obviously I can't do all of it. But yeah, no, so I was doing that. I've also, which I was doing today as well, I decided to do like a little personal project. It's like a portrait project because I need to shoot something. I decided to basically just like go on my bike and pull up on all my friends that live close to me and shoot like social distancing portraits of them from like 2 meters away, either like outside their yard or like in their garden. So I've shot like 5 of my friends already. So that's been cool. That's just been something to do. Because there's like one lab that's still open, called Chan in East. Yeah, there's one lab, Chan Photographic, and they do like mail orders. So I think you can like post it in. But I've actually got a shoot tomorrow, which is meant to be before lockdown. And they were like, oh, let's postpone it. And then they emailed me and they were like, would you be up for still doing this if you shot at like a respectable distance? I'm like, please don't shoot anything.
People gotta get that
work. I'm in the same
still.
area as the lab anyway, so I'm gonna see if I can just go and like not and like leave it outside the door and then leave. I don't know how they're doing it, but yeah, we'll see. And they're like decently priced as well, so yeah, I will send you the link afterwards.
Going back to like your early beginnings and whatnot, and you know, there's obviously you've had like so many interviews and here and there just about your journey and whatnot, but like I know you mentioned how it was an old family holiday camera that you picked up. You just, you know what, fucking let me just start shooting. Yeah. So that made me think, like, would you say like photography has been something that's been in your family, like from early?
No, not at all. Like, if I'm honest, my parents are like the least creative people in the world. Like the only thing that kind of like ran in my family almost on like from both sides was like dancing, which like a lot of people don't know this about me, but like I used to be a dancer. Like I did dance from like 3 till like 18, like all kinds of dance. I did like ballet for like 13 years. I did tap, jazz, musical theatre, hip hop, like street jazz. Like I feel like those like
still in the arsenal,
one type of dance I didn't do was contemporary. But yeah, I literally like I danced for years, and like more so my dad's side, like my sister on my dad's side and like her grandma were like big dance, not big as in famous, but as in like that, but as in they were like big on dancing. So I think that was the only sort of semi-creative thing that ran in my family. But in terms of photography, and even with music, like I didn't really listen to anything that my family listened to, or more so my parents. Like my sister used to listen to a lot of like Prince and Janet Jackson, and that's what I listened to when I was younger. But all my dad listened to, bless him, was like the Beatles and Queen. And my mum just loved like Fleetwood Mac, like, which is like, it's cool, it's calm. But when I was younger, it just didn't appeal to me, do you know what I mean? So I feel like I kind of just like came across the music that I liked through just like going to gigs, and like just ended up just like going to different raves, whether it was like Visions or like all these little venues that just ended up getting shut down. But for me, I think I ended up stumbling across photography through my love of music. I'm trying to think when it actually was, but I think I was like 13, 14. And yeah, as you mentioned, like I basically found like my family's old like holiday camera essentially. It was literally just like a little film camera, but it was just like a little point and shoot, required no skills to even like use it. And that was lying in a drawer because my family had upgraded to like just like a digital point and shoot basically. And I must have found it in a drawer, and it still had like a roll inside that had been half shot. So like I shot the rest of it, and then I got it developed, and there were still holiday photos from when I was like 9. in like Mallorca in the sea. So that was quite cool to see that many years on. But yeah, like I literally just like started taking my camera to like gigs and shows that I was going to, and then eventually like raves and stuff that I was going to, even though I was not of age. But sneaking into Fabric, places like Visions and stuff, just to more so just to have something to look back on afterwards. And I think initially when I first started shooting with like a film camera, these times phones took photos, but they took shit photos. And obviously I didn't have like a good digital camera, and there was just something about the process of like going to Boots or Jessop's, and like I'd never go to them places with my film now, but obviously back then that was just like what I did. Developing it, getting it back. These times I would even get like 6x4 like prints of my images. Like, see when you get the photos in the little folder, and then I would scan the whole pictures in. Like that's how like so backwards, but obviously I had no clue. So I would actually get the pictures and then make really shitty scans and then just crop them any which way, and put them on like my Flickr. But that just meant that I could, you know, sort of keep something from that night or whatever. So it was nice.
What was it about? Because obviously you said you like you're going into the raves, like whether you're allowed in or not doesn't matter. It's just you were just there for the vibes and the artists and whatnot. But like, what was it about, you know, going to these raves and having that camera? What drew you in to be like, you know what, let me start capturing these moments? Because obviously, like a lot of people go to the raves and they don't think that, or they'll capture it, but it's just for them to keep on their phone, innit? Like, what made you wanna?
I think the thing for me is that obviously I was shooting on film for a few years, whether it was just like holiday photos or just like random photos that I put on like my Tumblr or my Flickr or whatever. But this was like even like before college times, when I was like, in school and like beginning of college. But obviously this was an expensive hobby. Obviously I was working part-time like 1 day a week, and all my money just went on film and developing film. And I was like, do you know what, this is cute, but I can't make money from this. And I was actually doing graphic design at college and then did a year of that at uni. I did a foundation at CSM where I specialised in graphic design. So I kind of thought that would be like a more sustainable career choice for me, like over the photography. So I kind of put down the camera for a little bit, and it was summer between college and uni when I think I wasn't even 18 yet, but I was going to every rave, but without my camera. It was literally just me going because I love music and I love the artist, and I literally would just like, I'd literally pull up to every event, and I ended up being like a bait face, not even as a photographer. I was just a bait face as a raver. I was literally at every rave. I was there, just gassed every time. And so I ended up just like meeting a lot of the artists just through chatting shit in the smoking area, or just like being gassed that I'm stood next to like D-Double in Visions or like 50. And then I was like, do you know what? Let me just start taking my camera, because this could actually be a sick moment. And I didn't even think like, let me document this. Do you know what I mean? This was literally just going to be like for my page or like for my Insta, or just like, do you know what I mean? I wasn't. Also, I think because this was like 2014 times, like, I don't even think anyone really understood how big of an impact that grime was going to have again at that point. This was like the cusp of it. Do you know what I mean? So I was literally just shooting for me, you know, and just posting it because that was what, you know, I surrounded myself with at the time, and those literally like were the raves that I was going to. So I think after a while, when I started bringing my camera, you know, artists that I might have met prior, they were like, oh shit, I didn't know you're a photographer. And I'm like, I'm not, I just take pictures. Do you know what I mean? They were like, okay, well, can you just take pictures of me, or can you, you know, shoot my night or whatever. So it was almost like I would have been at those raves anyway.
It was very organic.
And then I just started bringing my camera. So I keep talking over people.
No, it's calm. So like Marshall was saying, I guess it was a very organic sort of like upstart, and it was more so just because like you thought, you know what, why not just capture this moment because it's sick. Like as a fan, I can imagine like, especially for me, like DW is one of my favorites. Like if I'm next to him and I'm like, you know what, if I can't keep bumping into him, I might as well just bring my camera.
Listen, I was a fangirl first and foremost. That's what it was. Like really and truly.
You're probably taking it like thinking, this is sick. Like, I'm gonna show my brethren. Later on, I might show my kids in the future. Like,
Literally.
But I was gonna say, like, next question for me would be, like, is there anything you miss from your early days of shooting that you feel isn't necessarily the same as now? Like, for example, like there would have been way less pressure like shooting back then compared to now, just because of who you are and like your name in this sort of industry. Like I can imagine a lot of people would expect.
Yeah, I feel like there is, you know, pressure now, but I feel like for me the pressure is more on, I don't know, like personal projects, or like what am I gonna do outside of, you know, what people expect of me, you know.
Yeah.
And I've had ideas for different things that are maybe not even necessarily music related, but it's that pressure that has made me not want to do anything with it, or like I've sat on it for too long, and then it's like there's no way putting it out now. But I feel like even if you're working on those ideas, like it's not a loss. Do you know what I mean? Like you're still building on those things, and maybe next time you might be more confident to put something out. You know, obviously now I'm doing just like a little, like a personal like portrait project, which is obviously outside of like the whole music thing. But it's nice to still just do something now. But I think another thing probably as well is like accessibility to certain artists, obviously, which, you know, has an upside and a downside. Obviously, I feel like obviously back then, maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, certain artists or even just like venues were more accessible. You know, you could go to a rave, there'd be no pit, and you could just shoot front row and get 6 shots. Do you know what I mean? Whereas like I feel like because those artists have elevated now, it's a lot harder to get those shots, but at the same time, I would never take that away from them. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, like you want artists to have that success. So I guess that would just happen with everything, really. And if you have a relationship with them or connection with them, then hopefully you can still gain access in one way or another.
You mentioned, you know, the times where you would first start shooting film and go to the like booths or whatever, get your pictures and like start scanning them yourself, when really you could have just scanned the roll and filmed the negatives.
Yeah.
Obviously, stuff like that. Is there anything that you wish you would have known back then when you started, like in your early days, when you're going in the raves, taking these photos, starting to build like a name for yourself? Is there anything that you would have known now that would have like saved you a lot of time back then? Or was it more of, you know, like I'm glad I went through those kind of things because it showed me
you know, I feel like whenever someone asks me like, oh, like what advice would you give to your younger self? Like honestly, I never know how to answer that, because I feel like everything has been like a formative experience, and everything has been, you know, trial and error. And I feel like if I hadn't gone through certain paths or done certain things, then I wouldn't be where I am now. Do you know what I mean? And even with like the technical side of things, like just literally just like spending so much time watching like YouTube videos on like how to edit, or just like roles not coming out right. I feel like in the very, very beginning, like before I started shooting like grime and music stuff properly, when I first got like a film camera, I didn't know how a camera worked. Like I had like a completely manual film camera, and I would just shoot it on any setting because I didn't know what aperture was, I didn't know what shutter speed was, I didn't know what ISO was. I would just click and hope for the best. Obviously there was no auto setting on this camera, and I get it developed at like Jessups, and probably about 5 or 6 out of 36 images would come back like decent, but that still made me so happy. I was like, I have something. I was like, I actually have something. I was like, I made this. But you know, obviously eventually over the years through, you know, experience and even actually shooting digital kind of taught me the ins and outs of an actual camera. So then I could actually go back to film with a lot more confidence and be like, okay, this is what each setting does, this is what each bit you know does. So
you talked about just now like how you transitioned into digital, like before you were shooting on film and now you say you do mostly
so I started on film, and then I transitioned to digital, and then I was doing like a bit of both, and then now I'm like just film again because I started out on film just because I was like, I'm never gonna be able to afford a digital camera, and also I just love the look of film. Like I already had this tiny little camera. Like back then it was worth nothing. Now this little point and shoot is like over £200 because it's a hype camera. It's the Olympus Mewtwo, or like Olympus Stylus Epic, which is literally just like it's an okay camera. It's not the best, but I feel like it's just overhyped, and obviously eBay prices just go up. But that was what I originally had. I don't even have that original one anymore because I took it on holiday and I got sand in the slider and it broke. But so I started on that, and then because I love film so much, I was like, right, I'm only ever gonna like get film cameras from now on. So I'd basically just like research different camera models. I'd even search Flickr and type in like camera models and then see what people have taken with those cameras. And I must have got a Canon AE1 program, which was like the completely manual one, where yeah, I don't know what I was doing with that camera. I was just clicking and hoping for the best. But then I ended up getting the Canon EOS 5000, which I think still to this day you can get for like £15 off eBay, because like just no one knows about it. But it's a sick camera, like £15 like without the lens, but it's literally, it looks digital, but it's just like a pretty basic film SLR. But you can shoot semi-manual, or you can shoot fully auto. And obviously back then when I didn't know what all these settings meant, I was like, I can actually shoot auto and it can look sick. So I just ran with that for a little bit, even upgraded that to like the model like after that. But then like early on in my career, a lot of clients either needed like a really fast turnaround, or, you know, there just wasn't budget for film, and film just wasn't really seeming to be that feasible. So I got like a pretty low end like digital camera, drove that for a little bit, and then realized that with digital you kind of have to have a good camera. You can't just have like a shitty digital camera. With film you can have a £10 camera and it can look hard. With digital you need to, I'm not saying you need to have like the top end 10 bags but it needs to be a decent camera. So I ended up getting a 5D Mark III on finance and then paying that off. And that just meant that I could shoot like brand campaigns and stuff and just not have to worry about, you know, I'm going to have to overly edit this to make it look decent. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like I shot digital for quite a while, and then I just started to miss the like energy and the aesthetic of film. And even just the whole process of like shooting it, not really knowing what you've shot, getting it developed and then getting it back. So I started like bringing a film camera with me to every shoot again, and kind of doing a bit of both, until eventually just like phasing the digital out completely, and then shooting like video format film as well. So that's mainly what I shoot now. I do still shoot like the odd thing on digital if it's like a commercial shoot or something that, you know, film's just not possible. Like I did a shoot for Adidas and Man United a year ago, and I was shooting Man United players in the Adidas kit, and literally I had like 5 minutes with each player, and I had to shoot like 10 shots on each of them in like 5 different setups in this warehouse. So it's like literally I was like click change, like it was ridiculous. So there was just no way that film would have even been possible. So on the odd occasion I do still do digital, but I love film.
I was even going to say, like, as a, because obviously like I feel like the photography world is definitely male dominated, you know what I'm saying? So like as a female as well, like how have you found it, like operating in the space where there's so many guys? Like
there is a lot of guys. I feel like it's a weird one, because I feel like as a white woman I've probably been given certain privileges along the way, but at the same time there's a lot of white men that end up doing even better. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I think in the beginning I maybe thought it was an age thing, because I was so young when I started this. I was like 18, 19 when I first like started shooting properly. And, you know, if I missed out on things, or if I was being taken for an idiot in certain situations, I was like, oh, it's just because I'm young. And it's like, I've actually come to realize it's actually not. It's because I'm a woman. Like, there's been so many times where, you know, I've been optioned for a job, and, you know, obviously there's like a selection of photographers, and they each have to put forward a proposal. Even not even then, sometimes it's literally just like they just have to pick. And 9 times out of 10 it ends up going to some white guy. And 9 times out of 10 like it's usually a handful that you know it goes to, which is frustrating. And, you know, a lot of the time, but also I feel like I end up being a bit of a self-saboteur, but I know I'm maybe not working to my best potential 100% of the time. But I still feel like even if I put my all in all the time, there's always some white guy that's gonna come and take it from me. Do you know what I mean? So, but I feel like that's just the industry. But I do feel like certain publications and brands are starting to notice that. I feel like a lot of sort of companies are starting to be more diverse, not just in, you know, who that they have in the forefront, because I feel like that's quite superficial. You can cast anyone and be like, oh, we're about diversity. But I feel like a lot of people are starting to actually have like the photographers, the crew, you know, to actually be a lot more diverse, which is important. Because I feel like for the longest time, not even like the super top tier magazines, not even like the Vogues. I mean like the middle ground ones. We're just using the same crusty old white middle-aged photographers to shoot like UK artists
that are like
have no connection, and I can't imagine them vibing on set. Do you know what I mean? I can't, like that couldn't have been lit. So and like the photos are only going to come out so good when that's the situation. Do you know what I mean? But I feel like people are starting to pick up. But I feel like they still got a long way to go.
I was going to ask, obviously now you're this like experienced photographer. You've been in the game for a minute now. You've built a name for yourself. Obviously your name kind of speaks for itself and the work you've done. Like, the CV is there, innit, basically. In terms of the work here, does the work now come to you, or like is there still a lot of hunger involved in terms of you having to go and source new work and new opportunities for yourself? Like, is it, how does that workflow come about?
I feel like I've been in quite a lucky position where most of my work does sort of just come to me. There has been a lot of times where, you know, if there's like an artist that I really want to shoot or something that I really want to do, you know, I might team up with like a stylist, shoot something, pitch it to somewhere. But I feel like that's more so like the passion projects that I want to do. I feel like for a while as well, I almost became like a semi-personality as well as a photographer, and then I feel like brands will sort of come to me because they want to attach the name to it. But then it's almost like they expect me to post it all on my socials, and it's like it doesn't work like that. Do you know what I mean? But sometimes I want people to just come to me for my work and not for my name. I don't even. I'm not even all that.
You've obviously branched into like a number of different industries, like outside of music. You do some fashion shoots here and there, like you've got your own projects with the portrait stuff and your friends. So there's a whole lot of stuff outside the music. But have you got like any other industries that you're yet to touch or shoot for that you like to delve into and get involved in?
At some point I do want to kind of go into like the sort of high fashion, high end, but still like semi borderline. I don't know why I keep doing hand things, but still like still on the cusp of like streetwear at the same time as well. Just a bit more, because I feel like I get so pigeonholed with everything that I do. I feel like I get pigeonholed with like grime, I get pigeonholed with like streetwear. And I think the thing with grime as well is that I feel like when people are like, oh, like the best grime photographer, it's like, as a white woman, that makes me uncomfortable because I'm not trying to claim anything or like take up space. You know what I mean? So that can be frustrating, especially by like brands that, you know, want to try and fit it into their agenda as well, which is you know, jarring. But I kind of get pigeonholed with the whole streetwear thing as well, and you know, I do want to do more fashion stuff, more sort of high-end stuff, just because it's more interesting, and I feel like you can be more creative with it, you can be more abstract and avant-garde and just be a bit more loose with it. So that's something that I definitely want to do more of. I say more of. I'd like to start doing that. So,
two-part question. What's been your favourite project thus far in your career to work on, full stop? And then what's been the highest profile project you've worked on?
I feel like it's difficult to pick my favourite because there's been so many fun ones. I'm not going to say this is my favourite because I don't have a favourite, but one of my top favourites was a shoot that I did with Rich the Kids for Essence online. And that was cool just because I had like full creative control. I basically was given the production budget, so I kind of just could do everything with that. And I shot mainly in the studio and a bit outside as well, but I kind of just wanted to be really creative with like lighting and having like as many different setups in one setting. And I hadn't really experimented with lighting before in that sense, so I had like different colored gels. I used just normal like white strobe lights as well, some natural light, shot some outsides. I shot on like 4 different cameras, and I just wanted it to be as random but still sort of working together at the same time. So that was fun. And then
the highest profile? The
highest profile people that I've shot have not necessarily been for like organized shoots. It was just like fleeting moments, or you know, but I've managed to catch just like random shots of like Chance the Rapper and like Drake. I was at the Section Boys show at Village Underground when Drake come out. I was on the stage. And that was very much, I didn't know he was coming. I didn't even know he was on the stage when I was on the stage. Because I didn't know he was there, but I think he came from, was it the Brits?
Yeah. Came from the Brits on stage every year.
Yeah. And I was on the stage. I was literally at the front of the stage shooting.
Yeah.
And I think Skepta had just been on. And then everyone kind of like moved to the back of the stage. So I was like, okay, are we leaving? And then they started playing Jumpman, and I was like, why are they playing Jumpman? And then everyone ran to the front of the stage, and me being 5 foot, for anyone that's not met me, I couldn't see shit. So I was like, I don't know, like, why is everyone screaming? I was like, what's going on? And then, oh my God, who was it? someone picked me up so I could see, and I just see Drake's head, and I was like, are you mad? I like scrambled to the front, and I was like almost like hanging off the stage, and yeah, I got like 3 shots, and then I got one of him backstage as well before he left. But that was great. Oh my god, I think I gave him a business card.
No, I'm feeling.
I gave him a business card. I've never got anything from handing out a business card. I think I've given Frank Ocean my business card twice. He's not hollered me, so they're pointless. I actually did a shoot with Pusha T, which was quite cool. And again, that wasn't like a proper shoot, but I was in Miami with Adidas for a shoot that he just released with them, and I was there to sort of cover the event around it. Yeah. And I think during the day, one of the guys from Adidas that I was there with, he was just like, I think Pusha's gonna come through like this space during the day. He's just got like a press day where he's doing loads of interviews. If you want to shoot him, you can. So it wasn't even for anything, but it was just like, do you want to take some pictures? And I'm like, yes. And I probably had I think I was told I was gonna have 20 minutes, and he came down, and his PR was just like, no, you got 5 minutes because this is his sleep time.
No way.
He needs to sleep. And I was like, oh my god. So, and he was grumpy, he was tired, but he didn't complain. And when I was like directing him to do, I don't know why I started voguing, but I was directing him to do different things, and he was polite. And towards the end, he started, getting a bit more lively and wanted to do more things. So that was cool. He's a professional man.
Yeah. Even outside of the UK, I would say one of my favorite shoots of yours would be the one with SchoolBoy Q. But then I'm biased.
Oh yeah.
Doing it. But that one was sick, like the portraits, even the shot when he's out with the girls, I was like, yeah.
Do you know what? I love him, and I'm a huge fan of him, but that's not my favourite shoot, and I'm really annoyed because it was quite limiting to what we could do. Like, the publication had briefed me saying like, oh, we want to shoot him in the street, we want to shoot him in a cafe, and I'm like, I can't do that with him. I was like, he can't be on roads. Yeah, he'll get mobbed. And I even I sent the brief to his PR, and she was like, yeah, no, we can't do that. I was like, yeah, I didn't think so. I was quite limited to where I could shoot him or what I could do, and they were using a studio as a base, but purely as a base, so I had no lighting in there, so I couldn't really use it. But I shot a couple images on flash in there, but it was annoying because the sun was out and it was such a sunny day, but he was really late and the sun had gone. But it happens. It's cool. But it's not my favorite shoot. Sadly, I feel like those images of him could have been better, but I'm still happy with it. In my head, I feel like it could have been so much better.
Last question. Yeah, I'm sure you've been asked this a billion times, but it's a very vague question, so you're gonna have to forgive me for asking.
Yeah.
But obviously now, the whole photography thing is taken off. You've got these theme names. You've got Ashley Verse, Zek Snaps, Amzi. So obviously, as you guys have risen in profile, there's a lot of new upcoming photographers coming through. Really become a popular thing to do. You feel me? In terms of a creative thing to get involved in.
Yeah.
Advice you'd give to people starting up in the game, trying to make a name for themselves, trying to get to the heights you've reached. Any key pointers?
My main point is, I would say, number one is whatever you're if you're doing photography, whatever you're trying to document, whether it's music or fashion or whatever, make sure you're passionate about it, or find something that you're passionate about and that you want to document, because I feel like so many people get lost in trying to shoot stuff that they think they should be shooting, or just shooting for the gram, or not actually shooting for themselves. And I feel like when you're not shooting for yourself, then it shows, and if you're not passionate about what you're shooting, then you can just really tell, and there's just really no point. So, and you're gonna get bored eventually as well, and you're gonna want to do something else. So yeah, make sure find something that you're passionate about if you want to start shooting, and do that. Hone your craft is something that I always say as well. Whether you want to get into live photography, and you're thinking but how can I get access to shows? How can I get passes? I didn't have passes for the longest. When I was first starting out, I was literally just going to small shows, gigs where there's no photo pit. You can just rock up with a camera.
Yeah.
And even if there are bigger shows, go with a point and shoot, and not a camera that's deemed professional, so they'll take it off you. But if you go and shoot, instead of waiting for things to come to you, just go and shoot stuff.
Yeah.
Just go and shoot stuff. Shoot your friends. Shoot local gigs, or just
Yeah.
Anything, like literally anything that you can shoot. You don't need to put everything out, but the more you shoot, the more you're sort of like,
craft, innit? Yeah.
Exactly, you're honing your craft.
Yeah.
I think another thing I would say as well is that taking inspiration is so important. I feel like in the beginning, I didn't really look at that many other like photographers' work, and I kind of thought like, oh, I'm just doing my own thing. But it is actually so important to take inspiration from a number of places. You know, I feel like certain people tend to fixate on one thing and try and copy that too much, you know, and that way you're never going to develop your own style. But I feel like if you look at a number of different sources for inspiration, whether it's photographers, whether it's magazines, whether it's, you know, different visual sources, eventually that's all going to accumulate into, you know, your own personal style. You know, nothing is original. Everything comes from somewhere, you know. So yeah, don't think that you have to be either completely original or, you know, it's important, and it is good to take little bits from things that are already out there. And the last one,
don't
be a prick. It's my last one. Be nice.
Be a nice person.
All I ask is so important.
Important. No, bare people like try to understate how important just being a nice person is. Like, being a nice dog can get you so far.
Even if your product isn't that great, like
100.
That's the thing. Like, you could be the sickest photographer,
and if you're
a nightmare to work with, they're not going to pick you again.
Of course.
You know.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, Vicky.
Thank you. This has been nice. I can talk to people.